Hey YouTube, RepoMan 64. I want to get into the timeline again. I've been talking with Wackadoodle Samoan, Matt, Will from Worship and Watch, Tony from Tony Early, the Cataclysm Tony Early, and Kevin Spinebreaker. I think that's everybody. And we have a our consensus is, as we go through this, is that in order for God to bring the Jews to jealousy, we feel that in spite of all these timelines and calendars and who's right and who's wrong, that God is probably going to use the date the Jews are looking at to provoke them to jealousy. And the reason is because he wants them to turn away from following the Antichrist. He wants them to finally accept, after all this time, 2,000 years and longer, that Jesus is the one true God. Jesus Christ is the Creator. He is Almighty God. He is the one who set everything in motion. He is the person of the Godhead that we worship. Understand, He is a triune God. He is one God, triune, just like, for lack of a better concept, I wear many hats. A different person at work, more compassionate at home with my family and children. At work, I'm, you need to get this done, let's go. And then when I'm out doing something, having fun, I'm jovial. Same thing, I believe God is one person. You can't be split up. You can't say that Jesus was born when God made light. That's just the only way that our sins could have been paid for, and everybody should know this by now, is only God Himself could come here and do that. And Jesus is God, Emmanuel, God with us. He is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So in order to provoke the Jews to jealousy, I believe that He's going to have to choose a date that they're watching. It is wrong. I can clearly show that it is wrong. I want to run through the timeline real quick. I made a lot of screenshots that we can talk about to get through the video, and I don't want it to go over 30 minutes, so let's try to get to it. That's to provoke them to jealousy. Let's start right here. Now, last video, I got a lot of people going, that's it, 153 million? And the answer is yes and no. The answer is yes, that there will be, what we're looking at here is a military operation. Jesus Christ is the head of the military. But what's not included in this picture of the cross and all those that are counted are the women and children and preachers and the Levites. The Bible specifically states do not count the preachers, the Levites. The Bible specifically states that we will return as kings and priests. The priests are not counted. The women, children, all of that will be added to it. You cannot make the entire group of people the military. And so I noticed this when I was talking about this, and maybe somebody else has noticed it. I've never heard it before, but I noticed that we have 4 beasts in the passage, that we have 4 beasts, and we have 24 elders. The way I'm looking at these 4 beasts is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. So let's just call the lion the Army. The lion has 6 wings or 6 battalions. The amount of people in that battalion is here. The Army does not think like the Marines. The Marines does not think like the Air Force. The Air Force does not think like the Navy. However, they are all under Jesus and they all have a common goal. They do not operate the same, but they are all a part of the cross, that it turns out When you number it, this is what it looks like. It looks like a cross. This is why, this is why when God came to Moses, he said, number the people. He did it twice. Take a census, number the people. And those are the numbers that it came up with. But then David numbered the people twice as well. And he got into a lot of trouble. And I think it said 70,000 people died as a result of David's census. But then God comes back and has Solomon do a census. Why is David in so much trouble for doing a census when he had Moses do it and he had Solomon do it? And the answer is simple. God commissioned Moses to do it. God commissioned Solomon to do it. And I believe there's even another count after that. I'm not sure. But he did not commission David to do it. He did not ask David to do it. David took it upon himself to do it. And therefore, there was trouble to be had because of that count. And I want you to notice in David's count, there are only two groups. I think it's 1.1 million or 1,100,000, I mean. And then I think it was 450 or 470 for a total. Now, as you can see, where did it go? I got lost. We don't want to get into all that. Let's see here. Right there. When God commissions Moses to count the people, this is the image that we come up with, the cross. I believe that when David did the count, instead of having 4 groups of people, he had 2. I think it makes some kind of an image, but I don't know what it could be. The center being Satan, and then the 2 groups of people, the larger group and the smaller group. I don't know. I thought perhaps the Eye of Ra, but I don't know what that image could possibly be, but it is not from God. And that's why there was trouble. Solomon, again, I wanted to show you this, that Solomon numbered the strangers in the land of Israel. Now, who's a stranger? We are. The bride is a stranger. Leah was a stranger. Rachel was the wife. Leah turned into the bride. There's a bit of trickery that happened there on Jacob, and he wound up with Leah. But that's the design. Because the Jews did not give a good report to go across into the promised land, they came back with a bad report. They had to wander the desert for 40 years, opening the door for the Gentiles to become saved. And even back here, when Solomon does the numbers of the strangers that were in the land of Israel after David did his number, which was not good, they found there were 153,600. Isn't that a curious number that Solomon comes up with of strangers, 153,600. Now, this is just strangers. There are others. So, Ikra Symphony, she's awesome. I don't have this computer technology. Wanted to give her props. She put this, everything I've been talking about, into a computer program, and she created this, and this is what it looks like. And over there on the right-hand side, you can see circled in red is the foreigners. What's not counted amongst this number, which God had Moses count twice, is the children of the priests, the children of the military, and the firstborn. So there are more than the 153 million that I believe, more or less, that will be raptured. This is those that carry an iron rod, I think. So just to touch on that, there was a sign from God. The number of men swallowed up was 250. I believe it was 250 from each tribe, 3,000. I believe it was swallowed up. I'd have to find the passage. I didn't look it up. So anyway, thank you, Ikra Symphony. I really appreciate that. I want to point out this verse. We've looked at it before, and I've mentioned it before, but I want to go over it again. Teach us to number our days. We are asking God to teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. We are trying to figure this out. There's a whole group of people that's trying to figure this out, and God bless them each and every single one that is trying to figure this out. Nobody has gotten a word from God that says this is it. This is when it's going to happen. This is the date. None of us have gotten that yet. I believe it's coming, and I believe it's coming to all of us, not to just the people on YouTube who are trying to figure it out. I think it's ultimately going to come to all of us. However, return, O Lord, how long? Who on planet Earth is saying, return, O Lord, how long? Who? Who on planet Earth is saying that question? Return, O Lord, how long? There's 8 billion people on the planet. Are there 8 billion people asking when? Are there 8 billion people that are subscribed to my YouTube that are just dying to figure it out? One more piece of, I'm subscribed, me personally, is to 150 people. I believe Brenda Weltner says she's just subscribed to 300 people. Talk about Brenda Welter here in a minute. And so God bless each and every one of the watchers, and including everyone who just watches the videos, who can't work out this type of stuff. You don't have the mind for this type of stuff. That's okay. Tony Early, he's awesome because he senses things and sees things that I don't. He sees numbers. He hears the trumpets. His senses are heightened, higher than mine. I'm not jealous over it. I like the fact that I can go through these timelines and put them all on paper. I haven't seen anybody else do anything similar, but that's my strong point, And then, Will, if you listen to Will when he's doing a video, he did his last video. I don't even know how to compete against that. I was thinking about making a video yesterday. I was like, I can't even compete against Will's video. He's literally doing a video, and I feel like every time he was saying something like, pray to God, and we're waiting for you, Father, lightning was striking, but this guy was turning like light blue from lightning striking behind him. How do you top that? You can't stop that. So Matt Wackadoodle Simone is coming out here in a minute with a video. He says he can prove something about the rapture here shortly. So awesome. So anyway, everybody's working very, very diligently trying to figure this out. And then Kevin Spinebreaker put us all together, and we're all talking on a chat that he created. And anyway, let me go back to what I was saying. I don't want to stretch this out too long, but I always do. Return, O Lord, how long? There's only a small group of people who are asking this question, and that small group of people has been trying to figure out this date for quite some time now. Me personally, I've been trying to figure out this date for nearly 40 years, and it's okay. I haven't stopped. Nothing has broken my stride. Have I been a little disappointed in passing dates? You're darn right I have been, but you know what? We're going to keep watching. We're going to keep trying to figure this out, and the watchers watch. It's what they do. And let it repent thee, which means to turn thee concerning thy servants. It is a prayer, and God is going to tell us. This falls right in line with Amos 3:7. 5737. Oh, I forgot now. Anyway, it falls right in line with one of those, and it basically states that God is going to tell each one of us. It's not going to be told to one of us, and if you decide, well, I'm not subscribing to this person anymore, and then I get the message and then you don't hear it because I'm the one that got it, it's not going to be anything like that whatsoever. It's going to be, he's going to tell you, he's going to tell me. He doesn't care if you see numbers, hear things, street preach, have a YouTube, watch YouTube nonstop trying to figure out, have a little timeline of your own at home. He doesn't care how that is. This is not, he cares, but he doesn't, nobody is better than you. We're all a part of the body, and each part of the body has a different function, and one part cannot survive without the other. So we got to keep that in mind as we go forward. All right. I just looked up the full moons. As you can see, they never hit on the 15th, ever. But Spinebreaker said something, or Kevin said something. He says it doesn't matter you don't count the dark days and you begin counting. It's always on the 15th. I cannot wrap my mind around that. Go watch this video right now. Put me on pause and go watch this. Brenda Weltner did an interview. You know, Ken Potter does his Ask a Watchman series. I'm jealous because I wish I would have thought of it, and he's brilliant. So you see all the degrees behind him. You know, he's a very, very smart guy, and he does this Ask a Watchman thing. And he had Brenda Weltner on here a few weeks or months ago, and Brenda Weltner tells him about this dream that she had. Not dream, that this vision that she had. Her computer screen lit up, even though it was unplugged, I believe she said, or shouldn't have, or wasn't functioning properly. But that when China invades Taiwan, we go up. I would advise you to go watch this. Yeah, he did a little recap here recently, and it is awesome. It's awesome. All right. Like I said, I take screenshots and I got to look at it. Okay, so according to the Jews, and again, the consensus is between the 4 or 5 of us that are talking in that chat is the calendar doesn't really matter. God is going to use one of their days to bring them to jealousy, so that when something like when we're just like Leah wound up in that room. You don't think Rachel was jealous? You don't think Jacob was upset? He worked 7 years, felt like nothing to him, but he worked 7 years, and he winds up with Leah and not Rachel. So 7 years have gone by, and we're about to be taken, but surprise, we're Leah. We are the foreigner. We are the strangers in the land. And the Jew is the wife. We are the bride. So anyway, Googled it. I don't like Googling these dates, but this is the date the Jews have chosen for Tisha B'Av. This is the date that the in history that has rung for the Jews to be a very bad day, very bad omen day for them. Terrible things have happened. The temples have been destroyed. Wars have broken out. All kinds of things have happened, and I believe Israel's in the middle of it. We just aren't getting the news on it, but I think Israel's in the middle of it right now, to be honest, and I believe it kicked off on Tisha B'Av, on what they call Tisha B'Av. So what's next? What's next is the marriage of Tu B Av. This is when they woke up in the morning, nobody had died, so they kept going into the grave until I think it was 7 days to be certain that they weren't making a mistake, because they did not want to break the law of God, because they were under the law. We are under grace. We're not under the law. We obey the law because of the grace that's been afforded to us, but we are not under the law. It does not condemn us. But on August the 11th at evening until Friday, August the 12th at evening, will be Tu B Av. All right, I want to go through this, and my screen is acting. There we go. All right. So, me personally, timelines number 1, 3, and 5 are showing up as things that happened in this year as being a good calendar. I can't find anything happening on calendar number 2 or calendar number 4. The calendars number 1, 3, and 5. The equalux, we start the year on the day of equal parts. Anybody can go into date and time and look up what day had 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. Jesus, Mary and Martha have sent somebody, and it takes a few days to get to Jesus. They've sent somebody to tell Jesus that Lazarus is dying. Jesus confesses that Lazarus, in fact, is dead. And then randomly, and again, there's nothing random in the Bible, Jesus does not say anything for no reason whatsoever. And there's 2 things that catch my attention more than anything, and it is, are there not 12 hours in a day? And then you have Moses asking God, what do we do about somebody who is on a long journey? And he says, well, no, I'm sorry, about touching a dead body. And then he responds, again, another curiosity, responds with, well, if they've touched a dead body or on a long journey, they can have a Passover 30 days later. The man on a long journey, 30 days. So those are 2 passages that have always caught my attention. Again, there are no accidents in the Bible, no coincidences. These are things we're supposed to search out. So the equinox, the day of equal. You have two witnesses for that day, by the way. Not only is it the day of equal parts, March 16th, March 17th being the first day, but March 16th at R31, that is also the day the fourth star of Pegasus skirts along the horizon, blinking as it goes along the horizon, as it goes to the mountains and everything. They know that this is the last day, the last Sabbath of the year, that date. So, number 3, the first sliver of the moon. I'm not a big fan of using the moon, honestly, because it does not land at 365 days. It lands at 354 days. Again, God might use that simply because the Jews are and to bring them to jealousy. And then the first sliver of the moon after the sun reaches Aries, and that happened on May 2nd. Line number 3, April 3rd. Line number 1, March 17th. The reason I lean towards line number 1, I always have, is because when you count from the flood began, and the Bible clearly says 150 days later the water was at its height and it began to subside, to go down. This is the date Jesus went to the cross, 150 days. Now, he reigned for 40 days and 40 nights, but 150 days later was the crest of the water, the height of the water. And then at that moment, when Jesus went to the cross, it started to go down, 150 days. You don't get that. You can't come to that conclusion. I didn't come to this conclusion. I came to it by accident, honestly. I didn't even know until I started to do the math on. I worked out, I got into the Genesis and started working out these dates and noticed that they were landing on very important dates. So 150 days. And then right after that it says, and the ark rested in Mount Ararat in the 7th month and the 17th day. This would not line up if we were using the moon. So the 7th month for Noah would be the first month for us. Something shifted when the planet was covered in water, and Noah's first day, first month was Tishri, and Moses's first month is what we use today is Nisan. However, the Jews still look at Tishri as their new year. We go on through this, and we see here on the 10th month and first day, which is Tevet and Tammuz, they both cross over as being, remember there's 12 constellations. Each constellation represents a month, and each constellation has a mirror constellation on the opposite side. And Tammuz and Tevet are those 2 months, and also would be the constellations. They would line up with the constellations. This is the moment the tops of the mountains were seen. Now, if we're using timeline number 1, that happened way back in June 17th. If we're using timeline number 5, that happened on August the 2nd. All right? We go forward. Now, remember, this is a simple, and I get a lot of people doing a lot of math on this 49-day and 50-day, but the Bible tells us exactly. It doesn't mix words. It tells us exactly. It says Jesus went to the cross on the 14th day of the first month, and on 3 days later, he rose. That would be the 17th day of the first month, the 17th day of the year. From there, we go forward. He went to heaven. He was seen by man, but he disappeared for 7 days. I know he disappeared because these people were in the upper room hiding. If they were walking with the Lord for starting to count those 40 days after Jesus had risen, why were they in the upper room hiding? You don't read another account of them hiding in the upper room. Now, Jesus returns to Thomas in the upper room, and the Bible clearly says 40 days he walked with man. So I just put 40 days on here, and he ascended. Then the Bible clearly says that Shavuot would be but a few days, not a few weeks, not 10 days, few meaning 3 or 4. So 3 days later, Shavuot. Ironically, when you count all of this out, you wind up, if you count from the moment that Jesus rose, you wind up with 50 days, exactly 50 days, 49 days. And then it says to count from the Sabbath after. So that would be he rose on a Sunday. Shavuot would land on a Sunday. The Sabbath after would be a Saturday, which would be 6. And if you count the day you're on, 7 days later, and you count 57 days to Pentecost. Now, Pentecost lands 7 days before Tisha B'Av. We know that Tisha B'Av is accurate here because it's the 9th of Av. We also know that it is when the raven flew and didn't return, and the dove did return, couldn't find rest for the sole of his foot. That count began here when the tops of the mountains were seen. The Bible records the 10th month and first day the tops of the mountains were seen. And it says 40 days later he sent out the raven and the dove from that moment. So the timeline is sound, but again, I don't know if God is going to use this timeline or one of these 5 timelines, or if he's going to use the moon, the first sliver. We have 5 different dates to begin with, so we're still watching, but it appears as though that God is going to use the Jewish timeline that Jews are saying just because to bring them, but I think he's going to revert back to this afterwards. Let's keep going. Av 22nd. This is the date that the dove does not return. On my timeline, number 1, my favorite timeline, the date passed yesterday. I had hoped to see something major happen yesterday. So I don't know, again, this is also the time when the Jews, which now I believe they're 14 days off from the correct timeline, the 9th of Av, would have fallen for them on August the 8th. It's off by about, it looks like about 14 days or so. So let's go forward. All right, the Feast of Trumpets, 182 days from the beginning. And this is God's timeline, God's calendar. The dates below it are ours in my attempt to line it up on the Gregorian calendar, which if the beginning date is accurate, you start from the beginning and you do a simple count. 182 days is half a year. So, for me, the Feast of Trumpets will fall on September the 15th. For timeline number 3, with the first sliver of the moon seen after the equinox, will fall on October the 3rd. And if you use timeline number 5, where the first sliver of the moon appears in Aries, it'll be October 31st. What's cool about October 31st is, go forward here to Heshmon 17. On my timeline, number 1, that's the date the flood begins, the 2nd month and the 17th day. Timeline number 5 and timeline number 1 are sharing the same date, so that's pretty interesting to see that. Okay, so let me get out of here. Enough on that. Let's see. I like this response. This is a response from somebody in the comment section on YouTube. Hopefully I can show this without any problem. It says, I've struggled sometimes with reassurance, and I think we all have, honestly, with reassurance of faith. I've never thought of it before that calling Jesus Lord is proof. Calling Jesus God is proof. It's something I can take comfort from. So, and my response is, you can't say it if it isn't in you. So say it loud, say it proud, say it always. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is God. Say that. You can't say it if it's not in you. So, here's the count from David. 800,000 that drew a sword and 500,000. So I don't even know what that. It's 2 groups, and I don't even know what shape that would be in. So here we talk about when we get raptured, there's going to be a group that are kings, which would be leaders, and there's another group that are going to be priests. They're not fighters and not warriors. They are priests. They are ministers. They're gonna be how do you say? Not military. They're going to be more loving, not loving, but more like more teaching than anything else. So God, again, this is another one where God has made us kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth for those 1,000 years. I wanted to make mention of this. It's a couple people saying you can't read any external books. It says it right here in the Bible. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? If you go read Jasher, it'll give you the account of the Old Testament. The first, I forget how many books it is, first 4 or 5 books of the Old Testament. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls, which also gives a very good similar account or same account as Jasher. So here in our own Bible, and it shouldn't be in the Bible, I'm not saying that, but it is a good read if you wanted to go read the book of Jasher. Our Bible is not telling us not to here. It's telling us, is it not written in the book of Jasher? All right. This is where I wanted to get down to with the timeline. People are wanting to start the year with the first sliver of the moon after the sun reaches Aries. 182 days later, they're wanting to say that the Feast of Trumpets in the 7th month and the first day lands, like it does say in Leviticus, the 7th month and the first day, and they're like, well, that's the new moon. I'm like, you're saying it, but I'm not seeing the Bible say that. I'm seeing the first month, the first day of the 7th month, and they want it to be in Virgo. Unfortunately, it is only 5 constellations away. If you start your year in Aries, you must start Feast of Trumpets in Libra. Period. There is no, it's the exact opposite side. If you start your year in Pisces, where my timeline starts, you must start Feast of Trumpets in Virgo, which everybody wants to start it in Virgo. So we can't just eliminate an entire month and start it in Aries and then start the Feast of Trumpets in Virgo. It does start in Virgo. We know it does. Therefore, the beginning of the year must start in Pisces. I want you to notice the precession of the sun. They found something, I think they said in the, what's it called? Something of the Jews, Antiquities, and the Antiquities of the Jews stating that it would start in Aries, and they were correct 2,000 years ago, which is why this is probably not a part of the Bible, because the precession of the sun has moved from Aries to Pisces. I can show you that here in a minute, how it's the same date, 2,000 years later, and or maybe I don't have that, but if you can go into yourself to Stellarium and put in any date that lands in Pisces. Actually, put in Virgo, put in the first month and the first day of the 7th month, and then go 182 days, and you're going to land in Pisces. You're not going to land in Aries. So the precession of the sun has moved one constellation from Aries to Pisces. Remember, we see everything counterclockwise. Everything up here goes counterclockwise, but we're on the inside looking out, and God is on the outside looking in. Everything for Him is clockwise. Right here, March 17th, when I think the year began, you see the sun in Pisces. Here's where it is 6 months later on 9/17. I believe that Feast of Trumpets is on 9/15. I just went an exact, I just changed the month. You can see it's in Virgo. This is where everyone thinks that Feast of Trumpets starts, and I think they're right. But if you want it to start here, this is where your year must begin. Let's see here. This is the 5th timeline. This is where they're stating, you can see over there to the left a little bit by Mercury, is first sliver of the moon. This is when they're stating that the year began, and that's fine. If we want to start here and start the year on this is where we have to start Feast of Trumpets, because it's exactly 182 days later. It's exactly the other side. The sun would have to be coming into this Libra, the scales. Let's see here. Oh, this is the part where we found God is going to use, and this is why. Let me see if there's anything else. No, that's it. Okay, this is why, as much as we work on all the timelines, and so many have so many great timelines and end time. Ooh, I'll knock that off the table. endtime-studies.com. She has a lot of the watchers, and it's not my site. It's something that Sister Sandy set up on her own, apart from me, and she has all these different timelines in there. And she has one in there from Python. I mentioned that in the other video. Python. You can go there to this website and look up all these timelines and the different people. And again, I don't say mine's right. I don't know. I don't know if it's right, but I've been working on this and things are landing in the right spot. So I'm liking it. But at the end of the day, like we discussed in the chat room, I think God is going to use what they think it is. That way they can't say, well, it didn't land on our date, so it really has nothing to do with us. I think he's going to go ahead and use their date. So we're looking very closely now at what are we looking at? We're looking very closely at, I think it's the 11th I said. Yeah, the 11th as far as Tu B Av, the marriage time. It literally doesn't have anything to do with any of the 5 timelines. It doesn't have anything to do with the start of the year and counting out number in our days like we're supposed to. But it is when the Jews are watching. Tu B Av. And can you imagine? Now think about this for a second. Jacob worked 7 years, but it doesn't feel like much to him because he's so looking forward to marrying Rachel that the time flew by. 7 years he works for Rachel and Leah's father. And at the end of 7 years, he goes to bed with what he thinks is Rachel and wakes up in the morning with Leah, and he's furious. He's mad, you know. And so he's like, no, I can't let you have the younger daughter before the older daughter. So the same thing is going to happen. We are the stranger, the foreigner. We are Leah. We are going to be taken. And what better day to bring jealousy to the Jews than Tu B Av, the wedding day, the day they're supposed to go, and then we go. And the Jews are looking at, I showed you earlier, the 11th at nightfall to the 12th, and that is 3 days from now. So we're going to keep watching. We're going to keep, going through these timelines. They might mean nothing. They might mean nothing. It might just be like Will and Wackadoodle and Kevin were saying over there, Tony, we're saying over there that the Jews won't be jealous of a date that they don't recognize as the date that they should be getting married. We're going to wake up in the morning, Jesus, I guess for lack of a better term, Jesus knows he's God. He knows, but we have this covering on us, and he can't see us. He can't see our sin. What he sees is the glory that is covering us, and we're saved by that glory, and that glory is what he sees. So if you're sitting there sometimes and you're like, I'm not good enough, it's not about you. That's the point of all this. It's so simple. It literally is that simple. Getting to that place is when you know you're saved. You can't be good enough. You can't do enough. It's not about you. It's about the covering that's been afforded to you. So let me end this video quickly. I don't know how long it's been. Hopefully I didn't take up too much time. But keep watching. I want to give you confirmation date. I want to tell you it's going to happen on the 11th. I really want to say that, but God didn't tell me to say that. I want to tell you that Brenda Weltner's correct, and that as soon as Taiwan gets struck by China, we're going up, and she got an open vision. Back, like I said, go watch that. And I want to say that's when it's going to happen, But I don't know. I didn't get that open vision. She did. So I think we're right on the cusp of leaving. Just look at world events. We're so close. Just hang in there, keep watching, and keep trying to figure this out. And if you guys know anything of all these timelines and calendars, put it in the comment section. I look at everything. It might take me a few days, but I finally get to everything. I have hundreds and hundreds of comments in there, and 99% of the time, I work too. So I just put a like in there, heart, because I really appreciate all the comments that are trying to get to this and understand this. And so go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody, and accept the Lord into your heart, just like it says in Matthew 6, 5, and 6. And then after that, go tell the world. Um, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember to hit the like button. I'm not saying that because I want to be popular. I'm saying that because the algorithm will carry this through the internet into somebody's computer that's not otherwise going to be watching. And they might have an analytical mind like mine, and see timelines and calendars, and without even knowing Jesus, they might know something about this and then come to Jesus. And that's kind of the thing that we're waiting for, isn't it? We're waiting for that last one, aren't we? He'll leave the 99 and go get the one. So that's what we're waiting for, honestly. I think we're just waiting for that last body part, as it were. We're all part of the body. We're waiting for that last one to come in to the fold, and then I think Jesus is going to take us home. So like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let's get this message out there in one way or another. You're a big part of this, because the subscribers have risen high enough, I feel, to where this will hang on through the rapture, and then the tribulation saints can see all of this work that we've done. And who knows, when they see this timeline, who knows if they're like, we'll be gone. But they'll be like, oh, we're going to start counting, because they left on Tu B Av. We're going to start counting our 3.5 years from there. And what better time than 47 days exactly before the Feast of Trumpets, if it is Tu B Av, on the date the Jews are thinking, So we'll see. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.